All right, so we'll be talking about sourcing and listing products, what you should do, what you should look at before you start sourcing and listing products. So that way you're very safe when you're on Amazon and you don't get suspended. And we'll be talking about what you need to run airtight dropshipping business. All right. So the first thing you need to do before you start sourcing products is you want to look at OAGenius restricted products. And they have a link for you in the video or in the chat. So you just need to request access to it and you'll see the restricted list of products. And you need to understand the first set of doctrine. And that's really important because that's what defines what you're allowed to sell and what you're not allowed to sell. And because a lot of people report you for not allowing you to sell their products, but you can still sell it. And most of the people reporting you are mostly coming up with BS complaints. All right, so you need to make sure you understand that, and you can actually use that to appeal in your plan of action. And also reviewing Amazon's anti-counterfeiting policy. So again, very simple. You gotta do is read it. And a lot of people don't read it, and then they don't understand why they get suspended. And then the next thing is reviewing Amazon's intellectual property policy and understanding where IP complaints come from, how to prevent them, and how to fix them once you do get it. And also understanding the big brand name products like Adidas and Nikes and why you shouldn't be selling them and why they're an issues, because there's a lot of Chinese counterfeits. And it was a funny story because this guy actually sold something and he asked me, where can he find the products? And he's like, I can't find it anywhere else. And then he shows me a Chinese website with that product. And he's like, should I ship it from here? I'm like, no, dude, that's counterfeit. So yeah, so making sure that you understand big brand name products and understand that Chinese produce a lot of counterfeits. So you are going to be selling big brand name products. You need to make sure you have documentation. That's really important. All right, so what types of products should you list? You have private label brand products from retailers. So for example, Walmart, you have Mainstays, Better Homes and Garden. So those are examples of private label brands from retailers. In Home Depot, you have like Husky and Ryobi, I believe. And then specific brands that are allowed that you can sell, and you can specifically target those brands when you find the products. And it makes it really easy for you to source and find products. So for example, if you're looking at Kids Craft, that's a toy brand. So if you want to source a bunch of products really fast, you can actually target that brand and just sell all of their products in that specific brand. So that's another type of products or how you want to go about finding products. And for the categories that you want to stay in, furniture, sports, outdoors, toys, home appliance, garden, kitchen, and pet. Those are like the safe categories to stay in and start, and you're not going to get that much complaints in these categories. And then with non-seasonal products, products that people use and need throughout the year, those are where you can start when you're a beginner. So non-seasonal products are the types of products that you can be listing. So like vacuum cleaners, and then seasonal products like snow shovels, okay? That's a seasonal product. And I actually had a product that was ranked #1 that I was selling, and they actually suppressed the buy box. And I was wondering like why this product was selling so much. And like, it was #1, and that was really shocking to me. I'm like, I have a #1 on my account. But yeah, guys, so BSR to target. So now with the BSR, you can actually do under 1 million, but for the sake of simplicity, you can stick under 500,000 and it'll still sell. So what does BSR mean? BSR means bestseller ranks. So the lower it is, the more that it sells. And another important thing to note here is BSR from different categories doesn't mean the same as one category. So for example, if it's #1 in furniture, it does not mean that it will be #1 in toys. So like, for example, if you're selling #1 in toys, it could be selling 10,000 in a month versus #1 in furniture, it could be selling 5,000 a month. So you can't be like, okay, hey, it's #1 in furniture and it's #1 in toys, it should sell the same amount. Like, that's not how it works. Okay. So when you're looking at products, you want to look at a minimum of 2 to 3 reviews. So you're looking at least 3 stars. And I mean, 2 stars and 1 stars, you might want to stay away from those products. And then price range, you want to look at $20 to $100, especially if you're new. Cash flow is a big issue, and I had to stop my store multiple times because I was selling too much, and suspended because I was going too fast as well. So you want to stick to $20 to $100. Otherwise, you're going to get your account flagged, and that's not going to be fun. And as always, make sure you adjust handling time for your supplier and not just listing it blindly, because otherwise you're going to be selling products that have 1 to 2 handling day on Amazon, your Amazon settings. And again, you're going to get suspended. So you need to make sure that you change it manually, whether it's in software or in Amazon. Okay. Now, what types of products should you not list, right? So, you want to stay away from these products. Now, obviously you can go around it, but if you're new, again, you want to follow these guidelines. So first, private label FBA. So that's obvious, like there are private label, they sell on their own listing. Nobody else is selling on it. They probably trademarked it or, registered it or whatever. So you want to stay away from those products. And listings where there's only one seller and the seller is the brand. So that's kind of like private label. And also you want to look at listings that, have very few sellers, like maybe two or three sellers. That's when you should be looking at that listing very carefully, because that means, there's some sort of issues with that. But it's a general guideline that I follow, which I haven't gotten any sort of IP complaints or whatever in like the longest time ever, is I usually list products that actually have like, at least 5 sellers, at least 5 dropshippers that I recognize. And I pretty much memorize like every single dropshipper. So, you can use that and follow that, because if the sellers are there generally, not always, you can list it and you should be safe. And you can also observe that, if they've been selling for a while on that listing, then it means they're safe. Now, obviously, if the listing is new and everybody gets kicked off, then yeah, there's some problem. But generally, if you're looking at an old listing with multiple sellers, you're generally safe as well. And obviously, restricted lists given from OAGenius. Okay, and electronics. Okay, electronics. I've had issues with electronics, and I'm sure a lot of people have had issues with electronics. Oh, okay, here's the thing. With electronics, it's not the returns, it's not the damage, it's not the customer scam, it's not even about that. The problem with electronics is the cancellations that comes with it. And, Walmart literally canceled all my electronics, even though I wasn't expecting it, because I controlled, how many times an item would sell. And if they were selling too much, I would stop selling it. But there was the point where they just canceled every single one, even if I haven't even sold one of them. So it's really risky when you're selling electronics. And if you're not ready to handle the cancellations and your metrics, that's a road to suspension. And that's just all about order cancellation and making sure that your orders gets through. Okay, products that are easily damaged, like plastic, glass. And obviously, when you're a new seller, you don't want to get a bunch of complaints that you're shipping damaged products. And Walmart always ships with damaged products, and their packaging is very, very poor. Okay. And products with quantity limits. And now you have to be especially careful with this, especially when you're on the buy box, because when you're on the buy box, you're actually selling a lot of products. I mean, you're doing a lot of volume if you're on the buy box. And if your supplier can't fulfill it and they have quantity limits, you're screwed. Well, now you can get around it with, servers and all that. But generally, again, if you're a new dropshippers, I mean, you're not going to know how to go around the system and deal with all that nonsense. So for example, if you're dropshipping from Amazon to eBay, I used to sell a lot of Legos. And when I dropship Legos, Amazon would only let me buy 2 or 3 of the same product. If I go more than that, they cancel my orders and they make it really hard to buy more. Now you can make more accounts, but again, at a certain point, they continue to cancel your order. So you got to determine whether that's worth it or not to you. All right, so that's pretty much my part. Now it's Jordan, and you can go ahead and take over, Jordan. Let me go ahead and unmute you. Are you unmuted, Jordan?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks for that, Ty. Hey guys, my name is Jordan. I recognize some of the names of the participants here. So for those of you who I know, hi again. For those of you who I don't know, Nice to meet you. My name is Jordan, and I am the former head of business development at Inform.co. I worked there for about 5.5 years, and then I started developing a piece of software called OAGenius. And what I'm basically going to talk about during this presentation is how to run an airtight dropshipping business that you can scale. All right, so yeah, that's actually better. Thanks. Yeah, so there's 3 main components, and I'm basically going to explain to you how to do it, with and without software, and what the benefits are to using software, versus anything, manual methods and stuff like that. So just from the top, inventory management is a huge component. Price monitoring and repricing is the second component that we're going to cover, and the third component is order management and tracking, and how to work those 2-3 things together to create an airtight dropshipping business. All right, cool. Great. So inventory management, again, we're going to cover how to do it manually and what the benefits are of using a piece of software. So when you do it manually, there's obviously a lot of work involved. And we know that the entire business model stems from sourcing from retail and selling those products on Amazon. But what happens in between when you list the product on Amazon and what's happening at the retailer at the same time, right? So if you have a good inventory management in place, you're basically going to have some peace of mind, right? Like otherwise you need 24-hour coverage with regards to inventory, because at these retailers, these items go in and out of stock at any given point in time. So it does a few things for you to monitor this inventory and obviously put it up and down on the Amazon end of things. So first thing that it'll do is give you peace of mind and protect you from, having out of stock items being sold on Amazon. So what happens when you have an out of stock item that's sold on Amazon? You have to then scramble for it, either have the buyer cancel the item, send you an email to require you to cancel the item for them, or you have to find it at another supplier. It's all a game, right? You got to stay within the boundaries of where Amazon wants you to be with regards to the health metrics, right? So you're going to have to do one of those 2 things. So the more out of stock instances that you can avoid, the better, obviously. So that's the first thing that it'll help you do by monitoring the stock, continuously. The next thing that it'll help you to do is, let's say you're doing this manually again, you've changed it to an out of stock status on Amazon, and now 6 hours go by, 7 hours go by, the retailer comes back in stock with the item, and you go another 12 hours before you realize that it's back in stock, and you go and put it back up for sale on Amazon. Now, what happens to all the sales that you could have had in between that time? You had like 16, 18-hour window in between when you took it out of stock and when maybe when it came back in stock. And so now by monitoring the inventory more closely, you'll have more opportunity to sell product. Now, you can't sell something that's not in stock on Amazon, obviously. And if it is in stock at your source site and you're out of stock on Amazon, you're missing sales opportunities. So far we see that having inventory management, whether you're doing it manually or with a piece of software, saves you both money and time. And, we all like that, right? So just to break down like the time and money factor, I've done that on every slide for each of the components. We talk about 1 VA at $2 an hour, 24 hours a day. It's actually humanly not possible because in day 2, they won't be able to be there for the next 24 hours. But still, let's just call it 1 VA at 720 hours a month is $1,400 a month, just straight off the bat. If you wanted 2, which is better coverage, you just double that. Let's move on to the next. So price management. What does price management do for you? There's two components to the price management. One is the monitoring. The price monitor will basically take the retailer's cost of the item and pull that into their system, and then add your tax and shipping to that to create a total cost. So what does this do for you? This makes sure that we're calculating a total cost in the item, and that gets sent over to your repricer. We'll talk about that later. But first, the first thing that it does is it calculates a new total cost for you. That total cost is going to make sure that you're always selling the product for a profit. If your source site changes their price upwards, you'll lose money on that sale if it doesn't get to your repricer quick enough and they don't change your price and your minimum maximum thresholds. Now, what's the other thing? If your source site changes the price downwards, So again, we're talking about like leaving money on the table. This is the same as when we're talking about like inventory being out of stock on Amazon when it's actually in stock at your source. So you haven't gotten to it in time. Same thing applies to the cost of the item moving downwards on the sources site. That's more of a selling opportunity. So if I can calculate a new total cost for that item more quickly, then I can bundle it up, send that over to my repricer, and then they can adjust my minimum and maximum thresholds downwards so that now I can have more of a chance of either being in the buy box or being a better price on the listing and selling more product. So more buy boxes equals more sales equals more profit, et cetera, et cetera. Important things to note about price management, and not everybody can do this, and especially when you're doing it manually, it gets like a little bit tricky, is that you need to make sure you're taking into consideration like free shipping thresholds. So if you're using some sort of automation, they can take that all into consideration for you. So meaning, what if you start selling a product from Walmart, let's say, and when you list the product, it's $34 listing price with $5.99 shipping. Now, what if that product changes price to $36? Now you've crossed the free shipping threshold, but you're still attaching a $5.99 shipping to that item. Now, that doesn't allow you to be as competitive as you could possibly be on that listing. There will be other people using automations and such that realize that it's crossed through that threshold, and now you can compete for $5.99 less. So that's one thing. Again, don't leave money on the table because you're not fast enough to do the automation yourself or something else. The other direction, if let's say you're listing something for $35 with free shipping and it goes down to $34 with $5.99 shipping, now you just lost $4 on that sale if you didn't calculate that new total cost, send that over to your repricer and have them adjust your minimum and maximum thresholds. All very important things to note. And they'll keep you out of trouble, make you more money, and make sure you're not losing money. The next part that happens after the price management system takes the product into their hands, right? So we calculate a new total cost and we bundle it up and we send it to your repricer. There's a few ways that you could get products into a repricer. Obviously, the most sound way is via an API. It's the safest and the quickest because you can push it as many times as you want. The App Eagle API will accept as many price changes as whatever inventory management tool you're using. But if you're using their hosted file uploads, the most frequent you can use is 1 hour. So again, think about the time in between scrapes for like getting the new total cost, and then think about tacking on an extra hour for that and how many sales can happen in between like a 2, 3, 4 hour span, right? So again, if you're using a repricer, make sure there's an API integration with your inventory management, order management, and price management tool. So manual price monitoring, again, is possible. People do it, but it's time consuming. It's definitely less accurate. You won't be able to take all these different things that we just talked about into consideration at all points in time. And yeah, it gets very expensive. Like if you just think about it, again, we'll use the same scenario with one VA, which can obviously, unless you have like 10 or 15 listings, there's no way you can possibly do it as fast as a machine does it. So just trust in some automation once you're ready for it and you feel that you've started generating some traction and you think that there might be a viable business here. I mean, a lot of people on this chat know that this is a viable business model, but if you're just testing it out, test manually, you'll see, you'll make some sales. Maybe they'll be out of stocks. Maybe you'll lose some money because you didn't make the price changes fast enough, but you'll see that it's a valid business. And then you'll invest in some automation from there. But again, just to break down, you could work manual price monitoring, but it gets expensive even with one VA who can't do it as fast as software. We're looking at another $1,400 a month for that same VA that doesn't sleep. All right, so last but not least piece of the puzzle is order management and tracking management. So here are some of the benefits of going with some automation and with a piece of software. Excel works for the beginning. When you're doing it manually, you want to keep up with things. And again, you don't want to spend money on setting the business up. You can use Excel, but using a piece of software will keep you more organized. You can search through thousands of orders in an instance. You can filter by any which way. You get all types of different reporting at the individual SKU level and ASIN level, and even search your notes and stuff like that. It allows for collaboration and triaging customer returns, refunds, and complaints. Let's say you have a team of 5 or 10 people, and you few people managing orders and customer service. What happens in a scenario where somebody's asking for a return? Where how do you collaborate on that? What stage of the process of the return is it in? What stage of the process is it? If you're out of stock on the item, have you already reached out to the client? Do you need to reach out to the client? What needs to be done? Are these the alternate sources for the product? It allows for a lot of collaboration that working out of Excel might not. It keeps track of your money, your profit and losses. That's just a no-brainer. You have to work all different types of Excel formulas in order to calculate this stuff. But then not only that, in order to get the breakdowns at the individual SKU and ASIN level, you'll need to run pivot tables. And not saying that it's not possible, it's just a lot easier when you have a machine working behind the front end of the software that will just do that all for you at a few clicks of the button. It'll automatically import supplier order information into the system from a Gmail account. It'll set it up for you nicely within a table so that you can literally just see what ASIN it is, what the source URL is, what your buy cost is, what the tracking number is, et cetera, et cetera. We do have integrations with Jenny's software. She's on the call also. So we have an integration with Spot and Paste, which makes it more easy to copy and paste buyer information into the source site. So it lines it up, click of a button, opens up the source URL, and you have the buyer's information copied to your clipboard. One more click of a button, you paste it in, and you hit purchase. So that makes it really quick. What happens after that is also something that's usually very time consuming and can be pretty expensive actually. So like after the order is placed and we pull all the supplier order information into the system automatically, which you can't really do in Excel, and we pull all the cost information and we calculate a total profit for you, we'll then continuously look into your Gmail account for your tracking numbers. And we'll take the tracking number and associate it back to that same order ID. Automatically and programmatically, you'll have it in our system. And then we'll hit an API that basically says, oh, has this product actually started moving yet, or has it not started moving yet? And something that some of the beginners might not know is that the valid tracking rate on Amazon is very closely tied to only confirming the shipment on Amazon once the product is already in like a moving status. So like it can't, if you get the supplier's tracking number and you paste it right into Amazon and hit send, like confirm the shipment, if that product's not moving yet and or it's been delivered already, that will start affecting your valid tracking rate, and eventually that'll get you into trouble as well. It's one of the least important metrics on the dashboard. Like it's a little bit harder to get suspended for it, but don't ignore it because you will eventually get suspended for that as well. So basically by hitting other APIs to make sure that the product is moving first before confirming the shipment, we'll keep your valid tracking rate in good health. So I calculated this dollar amount as the amount of time that you would, excluding the fact that it's better than Excel, it keeps you more organized. You can do like collaboration stuff. It keeps track of your money, profit losses, automatically imports supplier information. The only thing I took into consideration here with regards to time and money is one VA at $2 an hour for 4 hours a day. And that's just strictly for taking your tracking numbers from the source, putting them into an Excel sheet, and then continuously checking to see if they've actually shipped before you actually confirm the shipment on Amazon. I calculated at 4 hours a day. I think that was like pretty lenient, like once in the morning, once in the afternoon, once in the evening, and then once at night in order to keep up with all that, or at least 2 times a day, whatever it is. 4 hours a day, $2 an hour. We're at $240 a month there. So moving right along. Jason, you need 10 VAs. Okay. So saving time while saving money is amazing. So saving time is great. Saving money is also great. So how do we do both? Right. And we just explained exactly how you could do both. Right. So we calculated inventory management on the low end at $1,400 a month, price management and repricing, which I'm calculating into this at $1,400 a month. Again, very low end. You need at least 4 people for that. So let's just call it this on the low end. And order and tracking management at $240. So you basically would be saving 3,000 okay. So you got $3,040 in spending. Hey, Ty, that needs to be changed. Actually, that's not total savings. That would be your total spend at 3,040. So, an entry level inventory price and order management plan at $175 a month and $79 a month for App Eagle Informed on the lowest plan. Again, you'd have a savings in about $2,800 basically. So like, to me, that's a no-brainer. If you want to start out manually, we just explained to you that all of this could be done manually, but just think about the time and the energy and the effort and stuff like that that goes along with doing this stuff manually, and how much you could save in terms of like getting set up the right way, learning the process the right way, and doing things the right way. If you were to invest $250 a month into any business, is it even possible to make the type of returns that anybody on this chat knows that is possible for this business? The answer is just simply no. I've done a lot of businesses in my life, and this is by far the lowest barrier to entry, even with all the software that you could ever possibly need. There's really nothing to do. So, I mean, it's a no-brainer for me, but again, do it manually if you want to start out and know that you could start kicking ass in this. A lot of people on this channel are doing massive numbers. Our clients are killing it for sure. So I know people are making lots of money here. And so then on the next slide, we'll basically just close it out with like the final things that we can learn from all of this this stuff and what these pieces of software will help you do. So we talked about saving time, saving money, less worrying. You could sleep well at night knowing that somebody's monitoring the stuff for you 24/7. You're more organized. You have less work overall. You can afford to make it a better customer experience for the end user, for the people who are purchasing from you, right? Because you're not running around like a chicken without a head trying to figure out which order the item belongs to, or however you do it in Excel. You have higher profitability because we're taking into consideration all of the different price changes in the direction and the stock in and outs, right? So that's just straight off the bat, you'll have higher profits and more sales at least. That'll lead to excellent seller metrics. And again, full circle back around to more sales, because the better seller metrics you have, the more sales you do, the easier it is to keep your seller metrics good, because you're creating more sales. And now like everything's percentage based, all of the seller metrics, the more sales Amazon's going to allocate to you. It's just simple as that. Like they just continue to feed sales to the good sellers. I think that was the end for me. So I hope at least I was able to share some valuable thoughts here. I think we have some contact. All right. So we have some contact information on this page. So Ty on Instagram, OAGenius. You can reach us on our website or success@oagenius.com. And we're, obviously you can request access to the restricted brands list, and that gets updated whenever new restricted brands come into play. Please feel free to send me brand names that have been inflicting these IP and trademark complaints on you guys or on anybody else. We'll do some research over here, and then we'll update the sheets for you. So thanks, guys. I'm going to hand it back to Ty now. Actually, I'll leave myself here. I think we're going to answer some questions if anybody has any.
All right, guys, that pretty much wraps up the presentation. Hope you guys learned some stuff. Now we're going to be doing some Q&A.